By using the lessons that we learned in previous videos on the pattern for every single major scale, and also our knowledge of half and whole steps, we can write every single major scale. We'll only need to follow two rules. The first one is that every scale will have 8 notes. The second rule is that in each scale, all letter names will be used. You must use every single letter name. Knowing those two rules, let's try a couple of examples of constructing major scales. We know the pattern is going to be the same for every major scale, so we're going to write in our pattern and we'll just keep it there for all of our examples. Each scale will have 8 notes. We know with the pattern that the distance from the first to the second note is a whole step. From the second to the third note is a whole step. From the third to the fourth note is a half step. From the fourth to the fifth note is a whole step. From the fifth to the sixth note is a whole step. From the sixth to the seventh note is a whole step. And from the seventh to the eighth note is a half step. This will be the same for every major scale. We're going to write our first example, which is an A-flat scale. We start with an A-flat. Rule number 2 was every letter name must be included. So before we add our flats to any notes, we know that we have to have every single letter name in the scale. So we can write A-flat, B, C, D, E, F, G, and A-flat. From the first to the second note of the scale is a whole step. So a whole step higher than A flat has to be some sort of B, and we skip over the A natural, it's a B flat. From the second to the third note of the scale is a whole step. A whole step higher than B flat is C natural. From the third to the fourth note of the scale is a half step. The key directly to the right of C, and it must be some sort of D, is D flat. From the fourth to the fifth note is a whole step. A whole step higher than D flat is E flat. From the fifth to the sixth note is a whole step. A whole step higher than E flat is F natural. From the sixth to the seventh note is a whole step. From F natural, whole step higher is G natural. And let's hope that this works. From the seventh to the eighth note is a half step. A half step higher than G natural, the note right next to it, is A flat. There is our A flat major scale. Our second example will be the key of D. We start by writing a D. We know we have to have every letter name, so there's our E, there's our F, there's our G, there's our A, there's our B, here's a C, and D. From the first to the second note of the major scale is a whole step. A whole step higher than D is E. From the second to the third note is a whole step. A whole step higher than E, we skip over one key, and it must be some sort of F, is F sharp. From the third to the fourth note must be a half step. So the key directly to the right of F sharp is G. From the fourth to the fifth note is a whole step. A whole step higher than G is A. From the fifth to the sixth note is a whole step. A whole step higher than A is B. From the sixth to the seventh note is a whole step. A whole step higher than B natural must be some sort of C. It is C sharp. And from the seventh to the eighth note is a half step. Half step higher than C sharp is indeed D. So there is our D major scale. We will do one more example. For our last scale, we're going to do the key of G flat. Our first note is G flat. We know we must have every letter name, so we can write an A, a B, C, D, E, F, and our last note will be G flat. In a G flat major scale, from the first to the second note is a whole step. A whole step higher than G flat must be some sort of A. It is an A flat. From the second to the third note is a whole step. A whole step higher than A flat is B flat. From the third to the fourth note in the G flat major scale, or any major scale, is a half step. A half step higher than B flat is the key next to it, and it must be some sort of C. It is C flat. From the fourth to the fifth note is a whole step. A whole step higher than C flat is D flat. From the fifth to the sixth note has to be a whole step. A whole step higher than D flat is E flat. From the sixth to the seventh note is a whole step. A whole step higher than E flat, skip a key, and it is F natural. And should this work, from the seventh to the eighth note, from F to the eighth note is G flat. Here is your pattern for all major scales for you to take a screenshot to help you memorize.